Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do the usual disclaimers, and before that, an apology. I understand, folks, that there is a glare throughout the entirety of these videos. I am not a professional, nor do I have professional equipment. This is a Chromebook, so I've apologized for all that. This is why you also hear clearing of throats and stuff. I'm not even going to attempt to try to edit it. Who knows what kind of craziness I'll end up turning it into, alright? Alright. So, if you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shots campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. The Dodge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused. You know the drill, folks. Please read the article. Share on all your social media. Also included is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever actually does see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to use your headphones. Trigger warning 2, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and we do speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised, alright? Alright, so where we left off last time, folks. But before we do, a little bit of ginger tea, because my gosh, why does allergy season never end anymore? Yeah. This saying is all. The commoner's reliance on Section 513 of the FD&C Act is misplaced for several reasons. Can we start with the fact that it makes no coherent sense? It is literally a comparison between a semi-truck going down full speed down Highway I-44 and an apple. But the regulations for the powdered latex gloves, you said, and this is relevant to your device, how? Please explain it to me like I'm 5. Just saying. First, this provision only pertains to the review of a 5110K and not to device bans or any other aspect of device regulation. In other words, folks, they're gloves. In case anyone was wondering. This has to do specifically with a medical device, not a glove that is used for sanitary purposes. Again, a comparison of apples with a full speed semi truck with multiple trailers going down I-44. Second, if the commenter's point is that the harmful uses of a device should not prohibit its beneficial uses, this cuts against the commenter's position that the FDA must ban a device for all uses. For the love of God. Let's dig into some archaic history. Although not nearly archaic enough for my ease of mind. technically speaking, you could say when someone received a full frontal lobotomy, that all their problem behaviors went away. Wouldn't you call that a benefit? But there's an issue here, isn't there? Because it wasn't just the problem behavior that went away, did it? All behavior went away entirely. So, are you really trying to say that we shouldn't prohibit something like a full frontal lobotomy because of its beneficial uses, even though it's been determined to be harmful? Is the argument made by a doctor who had got a backpack from Mingala? Okay? It's monstrous. This is again what I've told you. We are going to force your children to be our fan fictionalized version of a neurotypical person at any cost necessary. Guess who gets to pay that cost? It's not our parents. It's not the staff who are inflicting their insanity on us. It's us. We pay the price. So, of course, why would they care how harmful and painful and dehumanizing and barbaric it is, as long as they get the results that they want, so we can either be turned into a shell of ourselves, or we force ourselves to mask every single day of our lives until finally we can't no more. And remember, when we finally drop the mask because we just can't anymore, well, that gets blamed on us too. And obviously, we just weren't on the torture device long enough. This is the logic that the folks who believe in the JRC are trying to sell to you, to me, and the rest of the world. Okay? We want to get what we want out of you by any means necessary. If that means ripping parental rights from your parents, if that means threatening those parents exactly with that, if that means going up to the judge while forcing you to go in there strapped to a gurney with belts around and everything, looking like Hannibal Lecter, guess what they're gonna do? Yeah. The thing is, though, at least on surface level, the medical model has been trying to get away for years, at least from the image and the appearance of our way at any cost, because of the horror stories of the institutions that go back hundreds of years. Okay? So, that is a monstrous argument to even make. But, are you really saying we should ban the device because it causes second and third degree burns when it stops the behavior for 5 minutes? Yes, Karen, I do. In fact, I would expect you to do this thing called, I don't know, your job, and use at the very least, the same standard of care that the rest of the medical model uses. At the very least. And there is abuses rampant throughout the entirety of the medical model, too. So it's not a massive step up, but at least one wouldn't have to fear about second and third degree burns. Okay? Again, I will state this whole, well, you gotta ban it for all reasons is not an argument that would have held any amount of water whatsoever if we would have named the device in this final ban. Because now the JRC get to push this stupid insanity of, well, you gotta ban all electric skin devices for all uses. Because the device in question is only used for a singular purpose in one place. There wouldn't even be a question here. Right? There wouldn't be a leg for the JRC to stand on. But here we are. And I'm hoping against hope. Because let's face it, I'm a optimistic nihilist. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but here I am existing. But yeah. Name the device. That will end all of the confusion. That will remove the paper thin reason that the DC Circuit Supreme Court used to overturn this. Name the device. Because then you actually can ban it for all uses. Because there's only one thing the JRC uses it for. The JRC is the only place that uses the device. It really takes away a whole lot of legal stupidity, doesn't it? Just saying is all. Don't overcomplicate things for yourselves just because you're trying to legally cover your own ass. Because in the end, you end up bending so far backwards you shoot yourself in the foot. Alright? Show you have some balls. Name the device. Name the device. That's all I ask. Simple logic 101, folks. I know we're kind of a dying breed, those of us who believe in logic, but for the love of God, humor me before it goes the way of the dodo. The FDA is only banning ESDs for certain uses, which is consistent with the principles underlying Section 513 of the FD&C Act. Third, if the commenter's point is that the FDA should not prohibit the use of a device that may be harmful if labeling adequately mitigates such harm, the harmful uses of ESDs are its labeled uses, not the ones outside the labeling, which is the target of Section 513. For the love of God. Labeling does not give miraculous cures to third and second degree burns. Labeling does not magically cure a catatonic stupor. Appropriate labeling does not bring back the feeling in the parts of the body where those electrodes are strapped to those poor kids. Mitigating it to even a smaller group of individuals put on that device makes you look more monstrous than what you already are. For the love of God, better labeling does not mitigate any of the risks. Literally any of the risks that have been brought up over the last 3 decades. Okay? For the love of God, stop with, but we could correct it with labeling in a smaller group of people. Let me guess, the nonverbals, right? You monstrous, barbaric bastards. Further, Section 516 of the FDNC Act and its implementing regulations only authorize banning where FDA has determined the deception or risk cannot be corrected or eliminated by labeling, as the FDA has done here. This is consistent with the principles of underlying section of the FDNC Act. Not to mention, we have a real mountain of evidence. Our receipts have receipts, and those receipts have receipts. We have over 4 goddamn decades of receipts. We can prove not only that there is substantial risk, but these risks have actually happened. It doesn't get more real than video surveillance footage and ER documents. Period. But again, we wouldn't have ever even had to make these arguments had the actual device in question been made. Here we are wasting a whole lot of time making arguments in regards to tailoring to where those devices can only be used for certain uses when everything could have been cleared up very nice, neatly, and clearly had we named the specific device in question. I hate repeating myself. It's a pet peeve, but for the love of God, people. We're going to go ahead and close on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, you know the drill. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please don't forget to hit those comments. I appreciate your time this afternoon, folks. As always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you all here in a few minutes. Bye-bye, everyone.